pledge to the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, we're recording, correct? Good, all right. Thank you everyone for coming. The first thing on our agenda, we have a presentation by Susan Jansen, I believe, for Skip the Stuff. Okay, have at it. Welcome.
We're going to be handing out some file folders for you in which it has decisions by various East End towns that have already started this program. And what we're really doing as a society, we're seeking strategies to mitigate accumulation of single-use plastics that contribute to congestion in our landfills. And they also constitute the most significant portion of plastic litter found in our streets and our local airways. Skip the Stuff is an environmental policy and campaign that encourages restaurants to provide
She's your assistant temporarily.
Yes, that's fine. So basically, it's a campaign that encourages restaurants to provide disposable takeout items only upon request. The goals are to reduce unnecessary single-use plastics, cut plastic pollution and litter, save restaurants money by reducing purchases of disposable items, give customers the choice to receive only what they actually need. Many food delivery apps already support this, including with options for Uber drivers when they take restaurant menus and restaurant needs. They ask people if they need utensils, and if they don't, they won't provide it. And they get to press a button on the computer that tells them they can either have utensils or not have utensils. So I've given you just a basic, trying to give you a definition about what Skip the Stuff is. Now we're going to take about 7 minutes, because I know we're on a very, very tight schedule, to give you a presentation about some further statistics and why, as a society and as a community, we need to skip the stuff. Thank you. And I meant to say, I'm introducing Brody Eckert, and he is the chair of the East End Surf Riders Association. And we've been working closely with them throughout all the other towns that we've been successful with.
Okay, thank you.
Hi everyone, thank you for hearing us today. We're really appreciative for your time, and we're going to try our best not to waste it. So, as Suzanne said, my name is Brody. I'm from the Surf Rider Foundation, and I'm here today to talk to you a little bit more about Skip the Stuff. All right, so what is Skip the Stuff? Skip the Stuff is an international effort to reduce single-use plastics. The single-use plastics we're discussing today are the packets of utensils that you get when you order a to-go order from a restaurant. For example, during the pandemic, there used to be, I worked in a restaurant where we served these types of to-goes. We would just throw piles of utensils into the bag, and this is still common practice today. What we're trying to make sure of is that people get the utensils that they ask for, not the utensils that they don't need. So I just wanted to tell you a little bit about the state of stuff. 83% of Americans are concerned about plastic pollution. 12% of plastics are incinerated, 9% of plastics are recycled, and 79% of plastics end up in landfills or the environment. This is especially worrisome here on Eastern Long Island, or Long Island as a whole, because it's an island, so we have to ship our waste somewhere else. Brookhaven, the Brookhaven dump will be closing within the next, I believe, 5 to 10 years. And we need to take action to reduce the amount of single-use plastics that we're allowing to enter our landfills and enter the environment. That's why we're talking about Skip the Stuff today. So at present, there are already 17 billion pounds of plastic in our ocean. Something I like to say is we can't clean our way out of the problem. Although we may try. Single-use plastic is also 42% of all plastic produced. And 561 billion disposable food service items are used in the United States every year, which results in more than 4.9 million tons of plastic waste. So, like I said before, we can't really clean our way out of the problem, but we may try. The Surfrider Foundation has a network of beach cleanups here on Eastern Long Island, and our volunteers have recorded data on 232 cleanups, although we've had much more than that over time. We only started tracking them in 2019. And 70% of the litter that we find is related to food service packaging. And that includes 932 plastic utensils, 386 plastic stirrers, and over 2,000 pieces of takeout stuff, whether that was the napkin, the wrapper, the utensil, or even just full unopened packets, because I lead these cleanups. I find those all of the time. And this is costly for all. Restaurants often include these single-use plastic stuff by default, but in reality, they're unnecessary and therefore a burden to most customers. I mean, we all know how much it costs to live out here. Why are we wasting valuable space on a junk drawer full of utensils? We all have one. And they can be an extra expense to the restaurant. My own family's restaurant in East Hampton Town, Bostwick Chowder House, we voluntarily started skipping the stuff back in 2023. And every year since then, we've saved $2,500 in utensils that we're not spending the money on. So it's a smart choice not only for consumers, but for businesses. And it's great for the environment because these utensils are not being purchased and therefore not entering our economy and not entering the waste stream. Therefore, they can't be recycled and they can't end up incinerated or in landfills. This stuff adds to our plastic pollution crisis, litters our streets, beaches, bays, and oceans, hence why the Surfrider Foundation is involved, and it enters our food chain along the way. We all know that microplastics are entering our bloodstreams every day, and this is one simple way to protect the health of future generations. So therefore, we request your consideration in passing a local Skip the Stuff ordinance, which would require all West Hampton Beach restaurants to provide single-use or takeout accessories by request only. We also ask that you send a letter to Southampton Town and Albany in support of Skip the Stuff. And how this works is restaurants across the country are already participating. In New York City and Westchester, this is already law. It's also state law in New Jersey. And then closer to us here on the East End, Skip the Stuff is law in East Hampton Village and Sag Harbor Village, while Southampton Village, Sagaponic Village, and Quogue have all expressed support. So for customers, if you need foodware accessories, you get them. If you don't need them, you exercise your right to skip the stuff. It's as simple as that. For businesses, all they have to do is keep the stuff out of the bag. They train their staff before handing out the stuff, which, as a former staff member, trust me, I would have loved to have had to add a few less things into the bag each time I served a to-go order. Another simple change is making it possible to opt for the stuff online, and let me tell you, that's going to be easier than you think because Uber Eats and DoorDash pretty much already do it for most places out here. Another important step, although I'll say an additional one, it's important to have educational signage and messaging on the benefits of Skip the Stuff. Here's an example of the sign that we have in Sag Harbor. We have identical signs with the different village names in Quogue, Sagaponic, and East Hampton Village. Oh, and Southampton Village as well. And that little QR code there links to more information about Skip the Stuff. There's also a backside of the poster that I didn't include that explains the Skip the Stuff policy, which makes it easier for owners and employees to explain the changes to customers. And like I said before, this is good for businesses. My own family restaurant saved $2,500, and the restaurants here in West Hampton Beach can do the same. For example, we have an ocean-friendly restaurant, Flora, down the street, and I'm sure that they would be greatly in support of Skip the Stuff, considering they already do it for the most part. And so the last thing I'll mention is that this should be a phased approach. As you'll see in the ordinances that we handed you, Sag Harbor and East Hampton Village gave this 6 months after they passed it for it to come into effect. Enough time for business owners to ask questions, enough time for there to be outreach to the businesses. And it's important to educate these businesses, pass the legislation, and then fully implement Skip the Stuff. And at the Surf Rider Foundation, we're here to be a resource for any of that and happy to answer any of your questions. You can also scan that QR code to learn more about Skip the Stuff. It links to a specific webpage about our mission for Skip the Stuff here on Eastern Long Island. Thank you for your time, and we really appreciate the space to tell you about why plastics are so bad. Thank you.
Thank you for the presentation. I appreciate it. Thank you. We'll take this under further consideration and we'll be in touch, guaranteed. Okay? Thank you very much. The next item on our agenda is a discussion topic for the Performing Arts Center. I think they have a presentation as well.
Good evening, Jim Hume for the applicant. We have Julianne, the executive director, and the Rose folks, our architects. I think we've discussed with you in the past, but now we're more formally in front of you. We're also very soon to be formally in front of the planning board on this particular issue. But as you know, just a quick recap, we're seeking basically to add an 8,900 square foot addition to the back of the theater without changing the front facade in any way, shape, or form. A lot of internal changes, a bigger stage area, more seating. Julianne can explain to you in a few minutes why that's important to us. But we're here specifically for a special permit under the village code, and I believe it's section 197-80.8, which limits the size of buildings in the B1 as well as other parts of the village. And our buildings right now are about 11,000 plus square feet, and when we're finished, we'll be up at around 12,000 square feet, which is in excess of the cap, absent the permit that we're seeking from the board. So we'll give you a few minutes for our folks to give you an overview on the actual project itself.
So we've been working very hard all summer, and I always preface this conversation with giving a status report on the Performing Arts Center and its current state. We are having a really successful summer. While tickets are down across the country, our ticket sales are up, and what we're finding is that we're not only sold out for most performances, but we have wait lists. I think that really reflects the sort of population boom that we're seeing happening in West Hampton Beach, and also the changing demographics that we're seeing in West Hampton Beach. So this is really a project about accessibility first and foremost. And since we saw you all last, we have secured a $6 million grant from New York State Council on the Arts, which is a huge vote of confidence. We were the second largest awardee in New York State for the grant cycle, because this really is about accessibility. So as I mentioned the last time I was here, what we've seen in the years since COVID is that the artist fees have gone up exponentially. And we unfortunately, whether an artist is playing a venue that has 2,000 seats or a venue that's got 425 seats, they're charging the same. And so that has to be passed along to the ticket buyer. I can tell you that when we have a show where the tickets are $89 at the top, that's the highest ticket price, those shows are sold out 95% of the time. When we have a show where the ticket is upwards of $150, those shows are sold out 32% of the time. So we see that we have a ticket price resistance. I think that's due to a conversation at the national level about ticket prices. But I also think it's just the reality of where we live and how people are living and what people are willing to spend their money on. A major goal of the Performing Arts Center, a key piece of our mission, is to provide the very highest quality performing arts. And so in the years since COVID, we have pivoted to more comedy, which we love. And we do a lot of tribute acts, which are really popular and often sell out for us. But we really want to get back to presenting really big marquee names in music, not just comedy. And this will allow us to do that, number one, by bringing these ticket prices down, but also in being attractive to marquee names as the only venue in the Hamptons that will have the kind of capacity we're shooting for, which, depending on the seating configuration, we're going to add 6 rows of fixed seats, so 110 fixed seats, and then this flexible area that's a 2-foot drop in the front down below the stage, which can be a dance floor, or it can be cabaret seating, or it can be raked audience stadium style seating that trucks underneath the stage when it's not being used. It's very cool. So between those different configurations, the capacity will be 645 to 695, right? 695 at the top. So that will bring ticket prices down considerably, but it will also be really attractive to acts that are looking for a Hampton stay, because there will be really no other venue in the area that can boast that kind of size. And then additionally, we are going to be building a deeper, wider stage. We are in need of that, for our school day performances program, which is so popular, and so many children here. It will be their first, and in some cases only, access to live theater. We are limited in what we can present because we have no wing space on either side, or sometimes the dimensions of our stage are just too small to support some of these bigger touring shows. So this will give us the opportunity to present whatever we want. And of course, when we're producing with our own students in-house, we'll be able to put on bigger shows. We'll be able to keep the kids safely backstage rather than having them tucked in all kinds of crazy places. And so that modernization is a key piece of this as well, just deepening and widening the stage. And then the last piece is that when we build the new stage, we will have the old fly space. So that's like where all the rigging is and the lights. The original fly space will be obsolete. We won't need it anymore. So we are going to turn that into an enclosed bar area with a terrace in front. And that will be not a public bar, but it will be for our, for donors, for artists, for fundraising purposes. And it will also be key to how we sustain, because we'll be able to rent it for bridal showers, engagement parties, and the like. So all of this is really about making sure that we are here for the next generations to come. And our goal, and why we are working so closely with John David Rose Architects, is we really want it to feel like the same theater that everybody knows and loves. Obviously, we have community preservation funding, so we will not be changing the facade at all. Everything's going to stay the same. Nothing's going digital. And so it will be the theater that people know and love. It'll still have that intimate feeling. The stage house itself will still have all those original details of the original 1932 movie house, but we'll just have more people in the room where it happens. So we're very excited. Our campaign is underway, and like I said, we secured that $6 million grant. We've also been fundraising diligently, and I'm happy to report that of our $25 million campaign, we are up to nearly 18 million raised. So there's a lot of momentum. People are excited, and we thank you all for your enthusiasm and support as well. You want to say some words?
Hi, Scott Rose. Some of the other internal features that we've included are additional bathrooms on the first floor. Currently, the only accessible bathrooms are up on the second floor, which require people to use the staircase or an elevator. By introducing additional bathrooms, we can now assist varying crowds on multiple levels at the same time throughout a show with minimal disruption. The look and feel of that entry, lobby, foyer will all remain the same. A lot of these finishes, interior, will also be matched. That way you still have that same look and feel of that theater that has been since 1998. The stage, like Julianne has mentioned, will get larger. We're going to have wing space, a backstage space. This is a safety enhancement as well, for when there are acts going on, people can safely navigate around the stage to maintain the equipment throughout the show. So that is a huge plus for us. The new stage will be at the same current stage height as it is, and the fly space will also match. So the max building height will just be maintained. It will not go any higher, because I know that already exceeds the max building height allowed in the village here. We are going to maintain 26% green space on this property, while adding 8,900 square feet to the building. And by doing that, we are removing those 4 outbuildings on the property. So while our lot coverage increases from 45.5 to 50.6, our green space actually increases from what we currently have based off of their current configuration.
Perhaps we could just describe briefly, John Rose Architect. that the front of the new stage will basically start where the back of the current building is, to give you an idea. So those buildings that Scott described in the back that are removed, that's where the building will start. And our goal is to not break through until we're ready and the new wing is complete. So hopefully we won't disrupt any more than we have to of the season. And I just want to end with, we recognize, and our specialty is the historic preservation work, we recognize how important this building is to everybody in the community. And the front of the building has to and will stay just as it is. And we hope that the addition will be, it's not going to mimic the front of the building, which they never recommend you do, but it'll be consistent with what you've seen before in the back of the building, just better. We're here to answer any questions.
That all sounds very good to me. And thank you for all your work. Congratulations on your grant. That's terrific.
And your
Um,
fundraising.
And all your fundraising and all your work. I think it'll be a terrific addition to the community. I really do. We still have the two hurdles that we spoke about before, but we're working on those. And we'll do what we can, as much as we can, in support of the PAC, because it's critical. So, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank
Any
you.
board members?
Yes.
No?
No.
Okay,
All good
thank you all. Okay, with the next item, we have a parking committee, and I would like to thank all the members of the parking committee for all their work in preparing this recommendation, and hopefully a phenomenal way to solve all our parking problems, which would be great. So thank you to the chairperson and to Brad and the police chief and Chris, and take it away. Thank you, Brad.
All right, thanks. These, the board knows, you started with the moratorium back in April or March. We talked about, we put a parking committee together. The zoning board had seen some with the sewer connection, and had afforded us some applications to then increase use of certain buildings downtown, and the limiting factor, which was always the sanitary density because of the small lots, has now morphed into parking. So the board, the committee got together and met several times over the last few months, and I've got a name there, MSRRP, because it sounds like something you've heard before. So hopefully it's memorable. So we had a quick mission statement. So the park committee, we're aiming to establish a framework for responsible growth within the Main Street commercial area, provide a process for property and business owners to apply for expansion and recognition of the unique opportunities afforded from location within the Village of West Hampton Beach's downtown. Our code is a village-wide code, but obviously the downtown, the B1, the HC, there's a lot more public parking, whereas everywhere else in the village you don't have that. So it is different, and part of this was to reckon with that. So with all the Main Street improvements that the board has put forth, and some of the existing lots that we have over 500 available parking spaces within the downtown area. A lot of that is in the public lots, but much as well on the street, the bulk on Main Street. There are also some what we call flex stalls, so spaces that aren't striped out for single cars. We have some bus lanes and other things down by across from Seafield. There's some larger areas, so we try to count those as well. But the takeaway was we have about 500 spaces, which I don't know about you, but it's more than I thought. I thought maybe we had 300 or so, but 500 spaces is pretty good. So, so the concept of a parking district, we mapped with the the Southampton Town GIS. We identified the public parking lots, and then that Main Street corridor with parking. Now there is some actual striped parking on Mill Road out of this area, and then beyond Beach Lane that we've been talking about. But in general, there's the idea was like, let's make a district for where this would be to separate it from the rest of the village. So if you're up on Overhead Road, you don't have public parking, you'd have to provide your own parking. But here we have public parking, so what do we do if you're within a district? We took a 300-foot radius should take 5 minutes or less to walk 150 feet for most able-bodied people. So we felt like this was reasonable. It's not expecting people to park, a mile down the road. So within the parking district, like it comes down to two factors that we could look at for expansion. One is the land area. So the parcels that are within the zoning district, within the parking district, and then also the synergy of use. So there's two factors would work together to see what is actually afforded by this parking. So we'll start off with land area. That same map, we took it to the parcels. That represents about 3 million square feet of parcel area. And then using some code appropriate math, as in there's only so much development you can do, like 50%. We can knock that number in half. And then there was this recognition that main streets, downtown areas, walkable Main Street like we have, they're, for the most part, even if the uses are disparate sometimes, there's a synergistic nature, right? People usually will come down to the downtown and they're not just going to go to the bookstore or a nail salon, or a lot of times it's I'm going to many stores, or I go and get a bite to eat, or I go to a show. And so we broke up all this land with that 500 parking stalls and kind of approximately, we figured for every 2,000 square feet of land area within this parking district, that would equate to one of those stalls. No one's taking the stalls away forever. There's just a practical accessibility to those stalls. Like you wouldn't, for every, if you have a 6,000 square foot lot, there's a good chance that means 3 of those stalls are close enough to you for your patrons to use, and therefore you might not need to provide that on your property. So there's some math in here that I don't want to bore you with, but basically for every 2,000 square feet of land, you're entitled to or acknowledge that might be worth one public stall. And then the synergy aspect. So again, walkable Main Street, we find that if you're outside of the Main Street area, you might provide a parking stall for every 250 square feet of commercial area that you have. But again, for a downtown, it's unnecessary for every single business to provide that parking. So we relaxed it, a blanket relaxation of about 33% for everything. And for uses that we would, or the board would deem synergistic or have synergy with each other, it goes even further. So as much as a 50% reduction. So what does that mean? Office retail that is synergistic within the downtown, like something that I'm not going to pick on a dentist, but let's say a dentist office can be seen as not really synergistic. People will go to the dentist and then leave because they've had work done. They're probably not going to go eat. Maybe they're not going to window shop, what have you. But if you were downtown to window shop, those stores, jewelry, clothing, the t-shirt shop, these types of things, it's hard to think of someone coming down to visit one of those shops. So that it seemed reasonable that there would be a higher relaxation for those types of uses. Eateries, theater, a hotel, even some of these personal services, because while it's not, someone might just be coming down for yoga or Pilates, there's a good chance they'll go get a cup of coffee as well, right? So with those two factors, we came up with, you have some availability of parking because of the land you have and the uses you have. Now, anything deemed not to be synergistic would not really, there's a blanket relaxation, but we would still look at things based on the use they have. So a home goods store, if someone was selling paint or something downtown, no one's going to buy paint to walk around. So that would be the usual parking. I'm sorry, yeah.
What about a real estate office?
Yeah, so so it's up to the, so I'll,
I don't mean to.
no, yeah, that's a great question. So I've included a list of the parking with a list of the uses within the B1 and the HC within your packets there. It's not included in this presentation, but it's again there. And the committee took a stab at what uses we feel are synergistic. So yes, real estate offices, it's up to you what you think. Like, I'm of the opinion that real estate office, people are going to come down and maybe visit multiple real estate offices, or at the very least maybe go out to eat. I know there's been talk about taking up the parking because years and years ago it seemed like that was the only busy thing. I have it in here as synergistic, but it's up to the board ultimately to make findings of what they think would be or would not be. And one of the things at the end, some of those action items that I would like the board to think about is, take a look at that list and see what you think actually should or shouldn't be. So on that, after the packet,
Yeah.
the list with the yellow.
Right.
Sorry.
Yeah.
I envision if we go forward in any of this, that would be something to look at. Like, do we like this idea, and what do we think is helpful and not helpful? Like, for instance, I don't have apartments in there as synergistic because apartments tend to take up parking, especially nights and weekends where that's the heavy restaurant use. But it's up to the board ultimately what you think should benefit from these things. So I take those two things and we come up with a process. So the process we're envisioning is a special exception process. This is partly to get it out of strictly the zoning board, because there may be applications where the trustees feel like we should give a lot of spaces. Like, man, we just heard a presentation from the PAC, which the board may feel is important, where the zoning board they have a much more difficult process if they're trying to give many parking variances. It's hard. Like, they're set up to give one or two or three, not a dozen, let's say. So the special exception, this board would have the wherewithal to take in the facts, take in the use, see the surrounding area, and then either grant this allowance for additional parking or not, or cap it. So between the land bonus that every parcel would be benefit of something, and then the synergy bonus based on the use, you would come up with the required or recognized parking. So it's our Main Street required / recognized parking consideration. And then when we come up with the deficit formula, it would be a tiered system. So on the right, we threw some numbers out there. That doesn't mean we did an experiment with several different parcels, 6 or 7 different parcels downtown to see what this meant. It doesn't mean for everyone can get three extra parking for that first number. It means we do an analysis of how much land you have, what uses are there, what expansion you're looking for, and that's going to put you in one of these tiers. If you don't want to expand or change your use or anything, there's no penalty. You're not losing anything. In fact, there's going to be, with that blanket relaxation, everyone's going to benefit something. Every single property owner and business owner downtown is going to have some benefit from this process. But some will be able to have more expansion than others. Some will be a little more difficult. And we envision it that, tier 1 should be fairly easy, shouldn't it? Someone needs a couple of stalls and it falls into tier 1, that should really be easy for the board to approve. Whereas if we get into that tier 3 or tier 4, not only is it much more money, but it's also, you got to think hard about that. Is there something unique about those uses? Because I think envisioning a tier 4 shouldn't be commonplace. You shouldn't be giving many. Maybe you want to give 1 or 2, fine, but there should be some bounds that owners and applicants can reasonably appreciate, and boards are also not in a place where they feel like, if they ask for it and they're willing to pay for it, we have to give it to them. It shouldn't. We want to take these tiers seriously so that we have responsible growth and don't let early applicants take up a bunch of the spaces and then we run into a parking problem. We don't want to have a parking problem. I don't think we have a parking problem right now, but we want to keep it that way, right? So other considerations / recommendations that we worked on, obviously we want to continue providing additional street parking where possible. If there's any more striping considerations, we talked about that east of Beach Lane, striping that out in a way that interfaces with Main Street. We think that's obviously great. Everything we worked off was based on the 500 that were exist, but there should be no reason why we can't expand where it makes sense. There's some food use amendments. We talked about this a while ago. We just never got approved, but something that keeps us in line with the health department and also fixes kind of an oddity within our eatery uses where everything kind of falls underneath the restaurant and the parking is very different. I feel as a zoning officer and that a small to-go eatery, a deli, and 16 seats or less is pretty much like a dry retail spot. People are coming down. They're going to go to Goldberg's, but they're also going to go next door or walk down and do some window shopping. These are quick, synergistic uses that are not going to take up a bunch of parking, or if they do, it's quick, right? So it's not a major concern. So getting that in line, I think, would be helpful. We talked about some time limit parking modifications. We'd really like to push business owners, business staff to the north lot or the far east lot. So we were contemplating doing some time limit parking in the south Parlato lot, which we don't do currently. So that's something to consider because that lot seems to be pretty full with mostly staff, and it's not very usable for visitors in my estimation. I also think we kicked around the 2-hour time limit on Main Street is maybe not enough time to eat and then go shop. And I think if people are getting in their car to jog their car a spot or two over, that's not helping the problem. That's causing more aggravation. And also, Main Street is tight for a reason. Like, we don't need people backing up and kicking over 2 spots just to come up with this time limit.
Are you considering making it 3 hours like the Parlato lot, like keeping that the same?
That was an idea, yeah.
Was there a consideration for the Parlato lot for some of the residential areas that are near the Parlato lot?
Yeah, I would imagine if the board was interested in implementing a time limit lot, I'm sure some of the residents and some of the businesses would probably be looking to retain a spot or two or some sort of accommodation, which could be looked at. We've talked about the North Glover's lot. It's always empty, right?
Right.
It's if anyone's coming to West End of the Beach, your friends are coming the first time, like that's where to send them. Park all day. I think that's really where, if you're an able-bodied person, it's a nice quick walk. You pass the bathrooms, you're right dead set in Main Street. You can go either way. It's really nice where it is, and it's very close compared to other downtowns. But for whatever reason, people will drive up and down and do crazy parking maneuvers because we can't incentivize them to get up there. So we're almost leaning, and it's like that's really where we should get the staff to go. And I don't really know how else to get staffing up there unless you implement some time limit parking within the lots.
That lot, I think it's perception, because what I've found is since we added the temporary spots down by Seafield,
A lot of people
they fill up, but that lot is still empty, and it's
Right.
no further. It's actually a little closer, but
Right.
I think it's all perception.
Right.
Yeah, and I think those lots, those spaces, street parking east of Beach Lane, I think we talked about those should never have a time limit. I think that, again, if you're an able-bodied person and willing to walk, that's a great spot. If you have an oversized vehicle, maybe that's a great spot.
Right.
And it's easier to get out from there as well. So that's something to think about. Obviously, as a committee, we just can kick around recommendations, things that are, for you all to think about. But obviously, some of these things we understand that you might not be interested in, or some things we need to flesh out further. And then lastly, just a plan for creation, expansion of other parking lots. I mean, we should try to come up with some sort of process for acquiring appropriate lots. I mean, there are parcels that are adjoining public parking that may one day come to market, and we should probably have a process for looking at that and maybe acquiring that. Or if those property owners want to come to us and say, hey, you know, I'd like to sell this to the village, that might be something. It makes, not for everywhere, but certain spots do make sense. And then we would like to, any revenue that comes from the special exception applications or these special exception, I don't want to call them variances, but they're any revenue coming for that, we'd like to have a dedicated parking fund for targeted acquisition of parcels, or at least to help offset that.
Yeah, I think that parking fund already exists and there's $1,200 in it.
Yeah, it's
So,
not.
that's, it's just, doesn't seem to be adequate for some reason.
Lastly, paid parking, we talked about it because it's been, but I don't think it, I think we all feel like we don't really have a problem yet, and we're hoping not to have a problem. So it's not really recommended at this time. And it just seems a little not as friendly as, having the open parking, I think, goes a long way to be an inviting village, which we, you know, would like to remain.
We did have a couple of meetings considering paid parking and it was not well received,
Yeah.
I would say. Let's put it that way.
So the committee concurs. We don't want to be in
Um,
trouble either.
I do like the tiered approach, the tier 1 through 4. If a particular business has parking of their own on their own property, then that parking would be reduced from their impact on public parking, correct?
Yes.
In the concept?
Yeah, so what would they probably, if you have parking on your own, first of all, you're going to get a bonus for the blanket synergy. You're going to get a bonus if you have synergistic uses. You're going to have a bonus if just based on your land already. So that deficit parking calculation, they're probably not going to get to a tier 1, tier 2. They would probably find themselves with an ability to expand as is. Yeah, they'd have to go through the planning board and what have you, but based on these new calculations, if we go further, some lots that have adequate parking will probably be able to add square footage, maybe second floor office or apartment or what have you. No one should be hurt by this analysis. This really, everyone gets a little bit, but how do you do it in a way that's equitable, not based on what's built and what's not built to start, but based on how much land you have, you're in a parking district, and then we evaluate what you want to do and what you're doing and if that works. There are some
Right.
lots that are so overbuilt and have no parking that they're going to enter that at tier 4, and that's just the reality. But many won't even hit that lot, it will hit that tiered system. Some will be in tier 1, some will be in tier 2, and you know they'll come before the board, and you can kind of weigh those things. And because it comes before this board, and it's your downtown, that will help guide how you see in the future with the things of time-limit parking, with acquiring parcels, with, hey, this is a little over density, but we notice like they're really a morning business versus, you know, it's a night business next door. So like things like that, you'll have control over. Thank you for the listening. Next steps, the synergistic uses, which again is that list of yellow. Some of those use descriptions are confusing because they come from an antiquated book, really. So there might be things listed in there that are not actually what they look like they are. That's a little asterisk there, but I'd be happy to answer any questions. If you have any concerns about the fee structure or the math, I'm happy to talk about that. Code amendments would be necessary, and obviously we'd want public input for anything we do. And we did do some calculations on several properties to look, you know, small, large, with parking, without parking, to see what it looks like. So to know that we were on the right path. So
Okay. Well, thank you again.
Yeah,
Thank
thanks.
you to the board members that participated. As far as the timeline goes, I would like to keep the pressure on the board to think about this and come up with thoughts and recommendations, because we do want to lift this moratorium in a efficient manner. So if we wanna contemplate code changes, maybe perhaps we could advertise the code in September, have it ready for publication mid-September and the public hearing in October, so just to move things
You know,
along,
we
you
wanna
know.
move on this.
Yeah, I don't want it to sit and have us ponder a great deal about it and not get anything done, so.
Yeah, that sounds
Okay.
good.
All right, any questions from the board or anything, anybody? Okay, these packets are in your mailboxes, so.
Is there a special exception for every change of use? Is that how it would be done? The only way you get into that is if you're looking to expand. Okay. And if the change of use triggers an acres or more. Yes, it's, there, no one, nothing envisioned in here would make applicants or property owners do anything. But if you're looking to expand, you might find yourself, you are able to expand in terms of parking there once before you weren't, or you need a variance, or you may be able to expand with a special exception from the trustees, but it depends on those factors of what they're actually looking to expand. So no one starts needing that.
Okay, and once again, this is a separate consideration from flow calculations for the sewer, which affects things as well in a different manner, so. All right, any other board questions, comments? No? Okay. Oh, sure, from the audience, I'll entertain those,
I'm still Jim Hume.
okay. You have to move the microphone to Jim Hume?
On
Oh,
behalf
okay,
of
good.
the
All
owner
right,
of
thank you.
104 Main Street, and as the mayor is aware, and hopefully he shared, we had made a request
Yes,
to the board to consider an exception to the moratorium. I'm happy to say, yeah, I think this is a really interesting presentation that's here, but I think it's going to take you a few days to implement something, and in the end of the day, it may actually what we want to do may actually fall nicely into this, but I'll have to study this a little bit to know. But we're still here's what happened to us. We went to the zoning board for a variance for 3 parking spots. The hearing was closed on January 19th, so the hearing was over. The board was set to make a decision on February 19th, I think. But this board on February 15th or 14th maybe passed the moratorium. So the board itself felt that it couldn't proceed any further, and so that thus we made the request that we're seeking an exception for this particular application. There is no provision in the resolution itself to provide for that, but most moratoriums typically do have an escape valve. And I think it's the board's resolution, so it's certainly the board's ability to change that. You're always worried about setting precedent, but this is really kind of a unique set of facts. I think there were maybe 1 or 2 other planning board applications in the pipeline that were that parking variances may have to have been considered, but they weren't far enough down the road to even go to the zoning board. But we were far enough down the road with the planning board that we were able to go to the zoning board, make a presentation to the zoning board, have that hearing closed, and almost had a decision. And then
I
the door
did,
closed.
once I received your letter, I did convey it to the rest of the board. And I think, I'm hoping we can get this done efficiently, as I said, within a couple of months, and if that's done, then there's no need. I don't, do you see a need for
But I
relief on this
haven't,
particular?
I haven't had an opportunity
Okay.
to really study whether
All right.
it may very well help us, but I don't know
Right,
that.
if there is a need for relief of some kind and the moratorium is gonna continue for whatever reason, we would of course consider relief,
Okay.
okay?
So let me have a conversation with the building inspector, and we'll see where we're at in that
Okay.
regard. Okay, thank you.
All right.
Appreciate it.
Thank you. Anyone else on the parking? Yes.
I think it would fit.
Oh, well, we like you for the recording and people so everyone can hear.
Larry Weinberger, owner of
Yes.
104 Main Street.
Yes.
I was just very
I think that
thrilled. I got a lot of detail out of the presentation. I think it was great. I think it was a lot of consideration went into that, and I was surprised at how detailed and specific it was. It was very good.
Thank you. Well, thank the committee.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else on the parking? Okay. Next item on the agenda is the Beach Lane Observation Path. Just as a point of information to remind the board, this is something that was developed during the LWRP. And I would like to thank, I see members of the CAC and WAC here. I would like to thank you for your work, your patience, and your persistence, because it has been, some of you may not know that we've been working on the LWRP for, I think, over 5, 6 years, 10 years. Okay. It's been a work in progress. We have developed some of it. We're supposed to develop more of it. The Department of State has stalled, hesitated, whatever you want to call it. We have a lot of things in the process with the Department of State, including they owe us money and have for over almost 2 years now and have yet to pay. So it's a frustrating process is my point. So I would like, and I think we have the opportunity here, to develop the walkway, and I have a couple of maps. I had a couple in color, but anyway. In case the board is not familiar with it, this is in our current Phase 1 LWRP proposal, this walkway. And if you notice, the right-hand side is Beach Lane, the bump out just south of the bridge. And there's a rectangular kind of shaped walkway, and then a pathway leading to another triangle shaped walkway, and that goes to the end of Library Avenue and Fanning Drive. So this is all a proposed walkway vista, and it's in our LWRP initial Phase 1 plan. So rather than waiting for the Department of State and for the completion of the LWRP and applying for a grant for this particular project within the LWRP, we do have park funds that are available. And I think these could easily be and legitimately applied towards this project. Do you understand what I'm talking about first? Are we good with the little map here?
I just have a question. I remember when we were talking about this, there is a bike lane, but the bike lane doesn't go. This
Doesn't
is
go-
not a bike lane.
No, that's a walking
this,
path.
But they can take this.
Yes.
And then
this
the
is-
bike parking entrance is
Right,
here.
right.
Okay.
Well, what I'm asking the board to do right now is to allow me to reach out to Matt Jedlinka, who is McLean Associates. He has helped us with the CPF funding and helped us with the CPF plans for a walkway at 7476 Dune Road. But again, CPF has been slow to move on that one as well. Matt also helped us with the windmill a great deal. He was the oversight for the Southampton town. He's very familiar with these kind of projects. And does an excellent job. So I would like to approach him to get a proposal to build this in potentially 3 phases. With the first phase being the beach lane, triangle, rectangle, whatever you want to call it, and the second phase being the end of Fanning Drive, and then the connecting walkway being the third phase. And if we can afford it, if it's just do all 3 phases at once, and if we need to do it in increments, that's fine. Because the park funds, we do have some other projects on tap for them. So I'd like to keep our options open. So if you don't mind, I'll have a resolution or I'll approach Matt and get a proposal and hopefully put a resolution on the next meeting after that.
Yeah.
For to develop the plans for this. Any members of the CAC want to comment or say anything at this point? You were very involved in this for 10 years.
Well, I should point out, when we first
Patty, do you want to come up here? Is that all right? No, you don't have to. I don't mean to, thank you for, Patty has also been our chairperson for the entire time, so, I appreciate all your work. Thank you.
My name's Patty Schaefer, and yes, I've been chairing the CAC. And when I said 10 years, I should point out that when we first got the CAC coordinated and started, talking about things that we might take on, the idea of going after an LWRP was introduced. So it was, I think it was maybe 2 years or so after that that we actually went ahead and applied for the grant. But I will point out that it really does. This is a terrific project, and we really appreciate, Mayor, your taking this to bat for us, in spite of the state's
The
considerable
frustration is-
delays.
the
And I know it's
frustration
been
is
very
ill.
frustrating. I know you really tried to stay on top of that. So we do appreciate it, and it really does comply with so many of the elements of the LWRP in terms of what they're looking for. So I think as projects go, it's really an excellent beginning. So thank
Okay.
you very much.
Thank you.
Thanks
All
to
right.
the board.
Any other comments from the board?
No,
I'll reach out to Mr. Jedlinka and see what we can do. Okay. Thank you. Next thing, use of village property application, Dune Deck, Bayside, Lashley Parking. Dune Deck appropriately put in an application for Bayside parking in time, so we can talk about it, consider it. The difficulty is that it's on Labor Day weekend, Saturday, from 9 a.m. to midnight, and they want 30 cars. So I have a couple of reservations about allowing this because I'm not sure the availability, especially on Labor Day weekend, would be there. I spoke to the chief about it, and he mentioned that school is starting already. So the demand on the parking lot may not be as heavy as it has been in the past for Labor Day weekend because school's already started. Parents have already taken their kids to wherever they have to be for school. At this point, I should also mention Sean Donaldson mentioned he's having a little bit of staffing problems with children. And they're working it out for the Labor Day weekend. It should be okay for the lifeguards on the weekend, but it's the weekdays that are the problem. So he's working on it. I just want you to be aware that we may not open until like 1 o'clock or something on a Friday before of Labor Day weekend at Lashley, but the rest will be staffed. Well, it's a work in progress. Anyway, I'm hesitant to approve this use because I don't want to establish, first of all, precedent for Labor Day weekend Bayside parking, and when it's a high, very busy part of the beach season. And predictability is very difficult. If it's a rainy day, it's no problem. And if it's a sunny day and all the kids come out and go to a last hurrah, we're in trouble.
That's just a very long
Oh.
time.
Yes.
9 a.m. to midnight. Could they use?
Well, I was
CPO?
gonna suggest approving it upon availability. If it's available, they can use it from 2 p.m. Because by then, people will be at the beach if they're coming to the beach.
Right.
And if it's available, they can use whatever's left over, 2 p.m. to
Yeah.
9 p.m. I don't know.
Very fair compromise.
I think that's fair.
Yeah, because you're not going to the beach by 2. You're not going to the beach.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, and you could also park. This is only for the Bayside lot.
This is only for
right?
Bayside,
So
but Sean has said
potentially,
they did fill up both sides of the parking lot in the past.
yeah. I'm just wondering
On
if they
these busy
could.
weekends, they have been full. So,
um,
and I do feel a priority for our beach pass holders, rather than a single entity special event kind of a
Yeah.
situation. So,
Is it mainly for like? Is this for trucks? Is this for people? Is this for
They say 30,
guests?
what is
Is
it,
this
30
for-
cars?
'cause we did have one issue where there were trucks, right?
Well, that was
So
parking
that was
for,
different.
parking and unloading on Dune Road,
Right.
that issue.
Yeah.
Right.
Are
They
they parked
didn't,
themselves
they
How many
didn't,
spots are there?
on the bay side?
Yeah.
it's not lined, you can,
If you get it tight, maybe 40 cars.
Yeah.
The problem is you can't go back to back, you just don't have enough room. So
right,
it's
and if they,
It's one way.
if it's, like Brad mentioned, if it's valet, then they can stack them very easily.
Yeah.
But they're applying for 35, it says cars, vehicles, they were not specific.
I'm sure it's valet.
Yeah.
I would,
I think when do lifeguards leave? 4? Is that when-
5 usually.
5?
Yeah.
I mean, I have no issue 5 to midnight because there's no lifeguards, so we don't
Right, that's easy.
we don't really need it.
I would say the beaches by 2 o'clock. It starts to empty out.
I know, but some people like to go,
Well,
in the
that's why
afternoon.
it's available, it's
so,
available.
but not
If-
that many. You
Yeah.
know, I'm thinking it's a holiday weekend. That's like it's a big ask. Memorial Day, 4th of
But,
July.
and we did
Labor Day.
deny one application for 4th of July weekend before.
Yeah, I thought that was at a wedding.
That was a wedding.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that was just, in my mind, a special event, special ask,
Mm-hmm.
does not have priority over issued parking
Yeah,
passes.
Absolutely. It's
You know?
RV.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's like
Uh,
2 or 3.
So upon availability, you think?
I just don't know if people I like that it's just a Bayside lot, but it's a holiday weekend. You know,
You
people come back. So they might I know people that go back to the city or to Westchester or wherever and they come back on the weekend to use the house or be at the beach.
How do you control if we say from like 2 or 3 o'clock until midnight? If there's
Yeah.
people already parked there, what do you do?
You don't really know.
Well, see, then if you say upon availability.
That's what I'm saying. You
if
do
it's
4 o'clock
full-
guaranteed.
4 o'clock. Yeah.
4 o'clock guaranteed, and then hey, it's a rainy day. Go for it.
Yeah.
You know, over it's you know, if it's empty all day,
Mhm.
Then
Yeah.
no issue.
no
Yeah.
issue. But
That's availability, the phrase availability would cover that.
who
But
gets
from
to
4 o'clock. That's
Given
probably
who's in
right.
charge of the if it's available?
Yeah.
Do they
I would
get-
say we should be specific given the past.
Do they get passes for the
They
window?
would get a pass for the dashboard. That's
Okay.
the way it works.
So you would know who is who. You
Yes.
would know who is there and who is just
Right.
okay.
But if the person has a pass, whoever it is, has a pass for their windshield or their dashboard, and they go and there's no place to park, that's not available, that's it.
Right.
So,
Then they have to park somewhere else.
and
I
that's
would
you.
just say we should be specific. That's all.
Yeah. I
Okay.
think 4 o'clock.
Let me,
would be safe.
4 o'clock.
4 o'clock
4 o'clock?
or if it's
If
raining.
it's inclement weather.
Just 4 o'clock, and if it's inclement, we'll talk about it.
Yeah.
But, yeah.
Yeah. Well, if it's just foggy.
No.
I'm kidding.
I mean, J4 is not going to fill up unless it's an absolute
Well,
beautiful
that's what
day.
I'm saying. I
Right.
just don't want it to be like I know
But
a
I'd be
lot
there, I
of
would
people
check it out
come
there.
at the end of the day because the sun's not
Yeah.
as strong.
Yeah.
So,
Right.
you
Yeah.
know.
The a lot south of New Road has about 45, 46 spots. So 35 is not his.
Yeah, that's what and on a holiday weekend, it's kind of like
So 4 p.m.
It's just the predictability is very hard.
they
to
should have a
establish.
plan B, like in case it is.
I'm sure they do. And they if it's for a party at night, they could have it at night. You know,
Yeah, and if it, I mean, I don't know if the marina. would
Maybe
be
the
ready.
best thing for me to do is reach out to Joanne
Yes.
and get more specifics and see if we can accommodate her somehow.
Yeah.
Yeah, just
Um,
that's
and
the
then I'll-
offer. 4 p.m. to midnight.
Yeah.
And then tell her our thinking, and once I draft the resolution for the resolution will be on the next meeting, September 2nd.
Yeah.
So it'll
And we
be
have to
approved
ask
for
if
the
it's
5th.
valet or if it's people parking their own car. Just
I
curious.
can
Yeah.
get some more details from them.
Okay.
Okay, how's that?
Sounds good.
All right,
good plan.
Yes.
all right, more details to come. Okay. Next thing, Maria Z. Moore Park main entrance.
Yes.
We have another board committee that's been working on this.
I don't know if Well, we kind of already discussed this. I'll
I think
hand
we've all been
you.
working on this. a
Yeah,
little bit.
this is just the survey that Brad sent of just the park that we're talking about. So the question is that Chris and I have is we were thinking that I think something we all agree on is the stone is going to go to pavers for that entrance there, right?
Okay.
So that where it says stone walk.
The entire way or just the
Actually,
10 or 20 feet?
You have something else?
Yeah, I do.
Okay.
We didn't speak about this though.
Uh-oh. A glitch in the committee.
That's okay. Let's hear it. Let's hear it.
So I was thinking, and so we have to do something. We have to create some kind of apron to stop the
Yes.
gravel coming into this in.
Correct. That's my main concern.
So there should be some kind of apron there to
Okay.
stop the gravel coming in. But I think we need to create, if we want to do the alley of trees
Mm-hmm.
going down there, I think we need to have it gravel from property line to property line to give us more space because
Oh, okay.
'cause
Sure.
then we're
Like for the roots and everything.
well because if we go the alley of trees, then we can put benches between them,
Mm-hmm.
and then we have less space for then it's like less maintenance as well. Like we could do a steel edge, gravel to the outside of the trees, and the trees are in there with benches between them, so it can be very clean.
Mm-hmm.
And otherwise, then we're gonna be planting a bunch of stuff in there, and we're creating more maintenance. So I
Just
think it's
trees.
just trees. So and then we have the benches going down it, and maybe some lighting on the trees or something. But it could be. I think that's the ideal way to do it.
Mhm.
Someone has planted that. Have you seen it?
No.
There's flowers.
Someone
all
put
on the
flowers.
fence.
Oh yeah, well they're
the
on
flowers.
We
the
don't
by the PVC fence, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
You have any idea?
That's ours.
DPW.
Yeah.
Okay. Because there was some annuals and stuff in there. You guys plant stuff in there? Okay.
Alright.
So that's the other
DPW does
thing.
that.
We were worried about offending somebody.
We'll relocate. Relocate. Okay, and then the other question that we were talking about is if we could go wider with the walkway or not. I don't know if like between having the tree, if we do the tree alley and what that would look like from the walkway. So we were looking at it,
Yeah.
it seemed like there was some more space, but then looking at the survey, it looks kind of
It's tight. That property line is right on the privet,
yeah,
and the other one,
is right by the fence.
well,
But the fence is actually on our
Actually,
property.
so this is tricky. The right of way is actually the building to the left.
Right.
So it's that dotted line, right? It's that fence. So that's what we're talking about.
The fence is our fence or no? Yeah. All right.
The fence is not our fence.
Not our fence. I have an extra one. Yes. Okay. But you think we could fit the trees in there, right?
I think so. Me and Chris were looking at the bocce ball in Marcus Mezzo. They talked about the type of trees we could put in there and everything.
Perfect. Yeah.
So he agreed the crepe myrtle, like single stem crepe myrtle, would work
Yeah.
well in there, and they're easy to trim and maintain.
Perfect.
So
They'll canopy,
Yeah.
and they're
So you can walk
conform with Main
through.
Street.
Love it.
yeah.
That sounds great.
Okay.
Yeah.
Definitely
So
what?
and then we
Our
could
fence?
trim.
Yeah.
I think
The white one?
Yeah.
I think if I recall, when we were doing the Main Street project, some of their driveway is on our property, right?
So this is their
Yeah.
so this is the building. They actually don't have access to behind their
Right.
but
Yeah, so
except for
their
the
steps are
right of
right
way.
on,
So
yeah.
they have 10 feet, but where the fence is more
So
than
it
10
is,
feet.
it is their fence on our property,
Correct.
is what it is.
Yes.
You could get rid of the fence if you wanted to, but then you'd be looking at the driveway. You don't want cars entering the park.
Right.
Right.
Yeah, I didn't think the fence was an issue really, right?
No, I'm just curious on like position wise, like where
Yeah.
it is. But so we'll do an apron in the front. We'll keep the gravel. We'll do the crepe myrtles, and then if we can fit benches between, we will.
Yeah.
Right. And then the front. I know we were gonna order something, make
Yeah,
something. What are your
Harbor.
thoughts on that?
Yeah, I mean, I think we just come up with a design that
Okay.
looks the best, and then from there we'll either or whatever makes the most sense cost wise.
Okay.
We would, I would think we would like it as wide and welcoming as
And
possible.
100% and tall.
Yeah.
Very
Yeah.
tall. In
Wide
case
and
we
tall.
have basketball
Yes.
players visit.
Not to speak for Jim, but him and his client were here, that the property they have is just the
Next
east
to
of this entrance, right? And part of their application is a small addition on that side. And we and the consultants, planning board, we wanted to bring those plantings down and have, and the addition is set back and there's window on the side to, so that when you come from Main Street, you can, it looks more inviting to people, to bring people up into that park. So
Oh.
entering at least first 10 feet or so off of our property to the east where you see the trees right now, those are probably gonna
The permits?
those are probably gonna come down.
Here's the Doug's element building.
Yeah.
And it will be more, it will look like
So maybe we can connect. It would be nicer if we didn't have that line,
Yes.
and we could put those trees on that line, and it kind of is open to that.
we talk about low plantings there, and then with that building being
On
steps
his
back-
side.
On his side.
Yes.
That building steps back with the window on the side.
Right.
It almost makes like a
Yeah, like a return. Okay. That's a great idea.
And they like, he's put plenty of plants over there, so I mean,
Great.
not to stall the committee, but there's something to. I should probably show you the site plan as far as we got with that, so you can kind of see if that interfaces in a way that makes sense.
Yeah, that makes sense.
I guess the next question, we were also pricing out the trees just to give an idea, like what it
Yes.
cost. The question is like, how do those trees? Did you guys install those trees?
It depends, if it's a large caliber tree,
Yeah.
have to bring in a professional company.
Okay.
But if it's a small caliber tree, we're gonna let it grow.
It's gonna have to be
I'm
probably.
looking at projects like 20, 30 years from now, so a lot of people like that instant gratification of a large caliber tree right away.
It kind of has to be not large caliber, but the stem has to be high enough so that the tree's not in. We got to get the stem up high enough so we can walk through it. Yeah.
Yeah.
We asked Marcus,
Yeah.
and he didn't think it was anything. He was happy to point and whatever. He didn't think it was anything that you wouldn't be able to do.
Okay.
Yeah. So, and then we talked about, and Chris, I don't know if this is too, not to step on it, but doing a few more trees in the park.
Sure. At the
Just
same
to-
time.
Yeah, there's a cluster. They did like clustered oaks, which are relatively inexpensive,
Mm-hmm.
and to make it a little more, to make everything a little bit more even and fill this in a bit more and provide some cover with the electrical lamp.
Yeah.
So it wasn't basically we just kind of.
Well, it will match.
Yes.
Right. So we want it to match.
Yeah.
That's a good idea.
Up in here, we do have that. That's the
This
library.
is nice over here.
That's the library garden for
No,
pollinators.
nothing.
Probably
Not
here.
changing anything.
Okay.
My request for this is it gets cleaned up because it's overtaken by weeds. There's a beautiful red maple back there that's gonna get strangled. No, it was making this a little more even with this, and then a little bit more like wait, I'm sorry. What is this circle?
Circle.
This circle's in the middle. Yeah, so a little bit more over here and over here.
Mhm.
It would
Well,
be
we
really
can look
nice.
through it.
Sure.
Could take pictures and add
My
it to
question
there.
was, but you kind of answered already, is can we use money from the park fund to do this?
If it's a significant improvement, yes. If it's just maintenance, no.
No, not maintenance.
So this is a
I
significant
would say
improvement.
this is a significant improvement, just like the walkway thing. That's a big
And the
project.
tree cost from
So
the initial what we looked into was we're not talking crazy money.
So let's find out how many trees we need. We'll get a design for the front.
Yep.
And we'll just start with that, and then we'll add those other trees.
Yeah.
And we'll just do the pavers as an apron, so that
Yeah.
the rocks don't come out.
Absolutely, they'll go in for like 4 or 5 feet.
And we'll take a look at the neighboring properties,
Yeah.
so we can match it at least, and it will all flow.
Okay.
Yeah.
They have to come back off the Main Street like 10 feet already, so the sidewalk is almost kind of like
Yeah.
widens.
Okay.
And if you're out there with the trees, it's like you're dead ended again. So there's a reason to bring that stuff back.
Yeah.
So maybe
Okay.
the archway could be instead of on top of the apron, which is what I envision. I don't know if that's what you envision.
Yeah.
Move it up
Yeah, it could be
but
behind
further
it,
behind the apron, and
then you walk into the
in
trees and
and you
everything.
walk
Yeah.
into the trees, so it's more welcoming kind
Yeah.
of a
So you have a little
aspect.
space.
'Cause
Sure.
Yeah.
It's
I don't know.
basically we have in the Marine Memorial Park. We have the alley of the London Plains, but they're they're massive. But
Yeah.
it really is. They're nice.
They're nice.
Yeah.
We
Yes.
can't do. We asked Marcus London Plains because
They're
of their
too
size.
big.
They're too
Yeah. I like the crepe myrtles. That's
You
nice.
can trim them up
Yeah.
every year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
big.
Yeah.
So
Okay, so we'll get working on that.
Sounds good.
Concerns that I have about the left side with the white PVC fences.
Mhm.
It's only about a foot.
Yes.
So, between roof structures and then, problem is there's a dumpster on that property is serviced from the back. So that dump truck or the garbage truck has to go in there pretty regularly. And actually, if you look at the fence today, I have a picture of it here.
I don't
it's
think we're
actually
moving the
damaged already,
fence.
So I'm afraid of putting an arbor right up against that if that truck could risk hitting it.
You mean like pulling in?
Yeah, pulling in and out, both directions.
Well, it's
Yeah, but the
not
arbor's
gonna
not going to
be-
be. It's going to be in
Yes.
between the trees,
Right.
and then to a something lower.
I
Like
know,
a
but then
connector.
The PVC fence that's existing there already, it's already damaged that last section.
Well, they need
Yeah.
a better driver.
Agreed, I think I would mention that because it might be a little tight there.
Yeah, maybe we'll try to like
Shift
when
it
we
a little so
connect
they
it, we'll
can-
try to make it a little looser so if it gets hit, it
Just
doesn't
eliminate
just
that last section.
fall.
Give that would be even more welcoming. I don't know.
Yeah.
Take a
Yeah.
look at it.
Okay.
I just
Okay.
wanted to mention that.
Yeah. Eliminate don't fix it, eliminate it.
Yeah.
That might be better.
So we'll count the trees and we'll figure out a design and then we'll move forward.
Okay.
Okay.
Sounds good.
All right.
All right. Next thing, Marina, interior redesign.
All
Chris,
right.
This is like your meeting.
This is,
I got stuff for everybody. Here, pass that down.
okay,
Can you see?
Yes. Sounds good to me.
Chris approved.
Sounds good to me.
All right. So I don't know if anyone's really spent any time in the bathrooms at the marina.
Yep.
I did last year, and I realized that it really needs some work.
careful, it's value. Go ahead.
All right. So if it the issues, it does flood.
Yes.
It floods. So and it's a big waste of space. So if the first page is the first page inside is the existing floor plan.
Okay.
So you walk in and there's two tiny stalls with the floors kind of caving in a little bit. And then there's two showers in the back. That's what's existing there now. And we have the two sinks, and then the other room right there is where the hot water heater is, and the electronics for the cameras, and the electrical meters.
Okay.
And then
Dock Master's equipment.
equipment. And
Yes.
then on the left side behind the shower, the dock master has a plastic shed set up there for his paper goods and everything. So going to the new floor plan, which is that's the existing space right there. So the new floor plan. So starting on the far left is to add two small additions on either side. So
Okay.
the left side would be for the dock master's storage of stuff. Right there.
Okay.
Yep.
Yep.
And just keeping them to the back of this because the electrical meters are there. So we have no choice but to keep it right there. So we would have the storage there. And then walking into the door, we still have the other storage room for the hot water heater and everything in there. Where the old sinks were becomes a closet for all the paper goods and anything that has to do with the bathrooms right there.
Okay.
Okay.
And then in the back side of that space, we have two handicap stalls on either side. And then I put a window in the center with a little bench across it right there. There's windows right here and a little bench right there. So when you walk right in, you have that.
Okay, we have an existing window.
We have one
It
window
says-
there.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
All right. And there could be 3 or 2 sinks right there in that little nook right there.
I like 3.
there's plenty of space for it.
Yeah. Well, sometimes you just have to wash your hands, so
Um,
I feel like that's
and
nice.
then I put the showers separate in the space, so they would each have like their own lock. And I think if you have the showers in that space, it gets all wet and nasty,
Mhm.
and it's easier to keep the bathrooms themselves cleaner.
Yeah.
And then if someone is staying on the boat and no one uses showers, there's like a code for the shower. They use the shower,
Right.
and so I know we have the life
Life jacket.
So we're gonna have to do something else with life jacket.
We can,
move it around somewhere.
if it'll fit right here on this wall.
I do have another little bench right there, but that's okay. But we'll figure it out.
That's, yes.
So this is the handicap ramp side. So we have just two showers right here, and then all the flooring inside would be the decking, so you could just hose it down.
Mhm.
And all the walls, I'd like to do all the walls in a composite AZEC material, and we
Yeah.
can cut it up into make it look like shiplap or anything else we want, so
That
it
would
looks
be
really
nice.
clean. And you paint it, and it could look new all the time. So we could build something that just stays
And it, mold mildew is. it's,
everything, no mildew, just
You just
basically.
you could power
resistant.
wash it.
Mike can go in there with a power washer.
Yeah.
Good.
You know, once a week and just wash the whole thing down, and it's perfect.
Well, sometimes after it floods, it's a little nastier than usual, so.
But we would be flood proof then.
Mhm.
You know.
The material would be flood proof.
Yeah. And then, getting into the toilets and all that kind of stuff, maybe the toilets are wall hung so they're not on the floor and you're not collecting stuff around them.
So
you
they
can just
go
wash
into the
underneath them.
back. Yeah.
Um
And they also don't get clogged as much when they're wall hung, right? Is that right?
yeah, yes and no. Yeah, they really don't actually.
Right.
But it's just a cleaner,
Like, because it doesn't it go?
just go straight back.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Right?
Because sometimes they do like this. Oh. Okay. I don't know a lot about toilets, but that's makes sense. I love it.
Yeah, then so then you guys the rendition in the back. Then I think I don't know how this gets funded or anything, but I do think we should shingle it. Or it is the vinyl siding's looks horrible.
Yeah.
And again, it's the park fund.
Okay.
So
I don't know.
That's what I would be relying on.
Okay. I mean, I don't know how far I can go with this, but I can make this look really nice.
Yeah.
We can make it look really nice and useful and.
I would like to keep in mind Rogers as well for park funds.
Yep.
And the walkway, and this, and your entryway to Moyamore Park, those kinds of
Yeah.
things.
I don't think our entryway is gonna be too much.
We do
Yeah.
have. Should I say it out loud?
No.
Okay, I'll tell you later.
Okay.
We do have quite a bit of park funds accumulated, let's put it that way.
Well, it's good. It's nice to put them to good use.
It's not parking funds, which
No.
is $1,200.
I know there's a big
This is
difference.
beautiful
Difference.
though, Chris. Thank you.
Yep.
This is
This
So
really
I'm gonna do the same thing for Rogers
Um,
next.
Yeah, I love it.
Okay.
It's so beautiful.
This
makes
is gonna
sense.
be handicapped.
It's staying the same. This is the ramp. This is the rendering. Just put the grass in there.
Yeah, I noticed that.
Yeah.
Where
So
we
just
getting all this
don't look
grass?
this way.
Don't look. This is. I gave up on the rendering after a while. I was like, it's. You get the picture.
Mike Lewinsky's gonna lose his seashells. That's
Yeah,
gonna be
yeah.
very upsetting.
No, we're gonna still. He still have those.
Imagine
good.
that's pavement, because that's where it's gonna
The
be.
ramp is still the same. It doesn't change.
Okay,
It's still right there.
and it's still handicapped accessible.
Everything is.
Good.
The shower doesn't get in the way, so you still come up and you can get around everything.
This is the deck.
Yep.
Right,
So that's
right,
the ramp. This is the deck. These are the
Right,
yeah.
columns.
right,
Yes.
right. So it's all still handicapped accessible.
And the showers
And
would be.
Those are handicapped, these are handicapped bath,
Yeah.
the toilets, sinks, whatever you have to do to make those handicapped. Okay.
We'd have to do a little more work on that to get it right. Yeah. Yeah, and it's within the roof still. So I don't know what that.
That's, I was saying if we improve it too much, more than 20%, I think you said, then we have to raise it up. How much percent?
But maintenance comes off of that, so there's a million ways around that. I think. Yeah.
Okay. So we'd be good?
I was only asking if you're gonna rebuild the thing, then I would raise it somewhat. If you're not,
Oh.
just do small additions to what's there.
It doesn't flood.
Mike's stuff want to flood-proof the lower part of that roof, or I don't know what he keeps things.
Well, actually, that's why he has the plastic shed, because stuff was getting soaked, especially over the winter storage.
Yeah.
He just couldn't, they had to take it to DPW barn to store things.
And we could keep everything up higher, or I mean, you probably still want in the wintertime. You probably still want
You
to.
still wanna
You
move
still want to
most
empty the
of it
place
to
out.
the,
Yeah.
to the barn. Yeah.
There's also the other thing too is in this, the roof is there's a huge attic space above here, and I was considering like cathedral the roof, and I put a skylight in there too as well on this part right here. But you know, you don't have to do that. But there's a lot of space upstairs too where you could store stuff.
Yeah.
If it helps with ventilation, you know, if you can put some kind of fan ventilation to help the heat and circulation, because it does get steamy in there.
Yeah. So if you put,
Especially in the shower area.
so I put a skylight on this side, which can be operable, which you can open up, and then you can let the air kind of flow through out of there in the summertime on a nice day.
Okay. And
Oh.
remember I discussed with you the possibility of raising the floor 6 inches throughout? Is that not,
We could do that.
just to decrease the frequency of flooding?
We'd have to raise everything though, because it has to be handicap accessible, right? So
Right, you'd
Yeah.
have to raise, and you'd have to put the ramp so it's an inch per foot, right? So 6 inches, you'd have to have, like from here to get to this door. And to get to, you'd
at
have
that
to
point, I
have
would just
another,
raise all the decks,
Yeah.
everything up 6 inches. So you
and change the ramp,
and the ramp would just
extend, make the ramp longer somehow.
yeah. I think there's room for that.
Okay,
Yeah. If you
just
have
to
a deck,
reduce
you
flooding.
definitely would gap it pretty decent on the deck.
Absolutely.
And they just build it as if we know it's gonna flood.
That's the idea. Everything in it can get wet.
right.
Yeah.
Good.
All right.
Okay.
No, there's not. It's,
Put code.
they're all code
he's-
locks on everything.
Code lock with the same code on all 3 doors, I think.
Yes, absolutely. So they're separate. Yeah.
And we can change the code if, like, remember one winter we had an extreme amount of use, and it was truck drivers using it in the winter. Even though they weren't cleaned and maintained, we had an issue. So change the codes whenever we need to. Anything else? Anybody else?
No.
All right, great. Thank you, Chris. Okay. Next thing, Percy Street, Redfield Place bid. As you know, we passed a resolution rejecting the bids, and we agreed that we would put it out to bid again, or we have some other options before we put it out to bid, but this time, I think if we put it out to bid, include a minimum. And the other option that has been discussed by some of us is whether to subdivide it before we put it out to bid, because it's worth more subdivided, go through the process and then put it out to bid, or do we put it out to bid as is? And we were gonna reopen the road opening permit.
I think that what you also should consider, I don't like the idea of the village making the subdivision application, to be honest with you. I think it will require a lot of compromising. Who knows what they're gonna require for it? Though it's a possibility, I won't say that it's impossible, but I think you should consider hiring a broker too, because it's damaged property, you know, and you want to go to people who are going to be able to develop it as damaged property. It's not something that the average person would be interested in buying. I mean, Kim would know better than me, but
I mean,
Unless
I
it's a
think-
neighbor, and the neighbor can,
Right. Well, I think also, you know, I understand your point. It might be a compromise for us to do that, but maybe we should consider the value of the property that it could possibly be subdivided instead of thinking of it as one. Maybe we think about it as more than one and being a little bit more
Maybe
valuable.
Just
Like
we
if
put it
we
out
have a
bid,
minimum, we would make the
increase the
minimum,
minimum a little
increase
bit.
the minimum a little bit.
Plus, we have had, it's been, what, a year since we had it, the appraisal?
Yeah.
Is the appraisal a year old yet? So,
Excuse me?
The appraisal.
how old is the appraisal?
What do you think, about a year?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's, okay, so
was
with
like one of
property
the first
values have gone
things.
up a little bit.
Yeah.
I mean, we could have her look at it again.
Well, I
mean,
don't think we
right.
need to. It's a ballpark area,
Yeah.
like amount, but I'm just thinking that, there's a lot of reasons someone would buy it. They would buy it and do a spec house. They would buy it, try to subdivide it and do 2 spec houses. A neighbor could buy it and just keep it as land. So it's the use of it is just depends on the buyer and how much
Right.
they're willing to spend for it. But if we know, kind of,
Steve, sometimes this happens with commercial property. We had on Rogers when Rogers was sold from the old asphalt plant for housing. The price was this based on a certain build out. But if the build out ended up being more or less, I guess there was some sort of capture mechanism for the sale of the property. Is there a way to sell the property and if it's subdivided within 3 or 5
Well,
years?
yeah, there is, because it would be a contingent contract, and the contract would be one price to the buyer. If they would have a duty to make an application for 2 lots, and the price would go up if they're successful. It's a traditional contingent contract. I haven't seen it used in a small parcel like this. You usually see it in a big zoning application.
Yeah, the board, I'm sure the board, like we talked about, it's worth 800,000 or it's worth 1.5 million.
Right.
Subdivided, let's say.
Correct.
I'm just throwing ballpark numbers out here. The last thing anyone wants to do in the village is sell it for 800,000, and then that person goes.
Yes. That's what you don't want to
and
see.
goes, sells off a lot for 600,000. 2 years later after they did a subdivision.
Right.
And
Like being
that way
responsible.
we're not in the development game.
Right, we're
The
not.
person buying it can say, yeah, I'm never gonna subdivide it, I'm happy with it is, and then we don't look,
Yeah.
foolish as well.
Well, I don't think we'd look foolish if somebody took it and made an application.
Well, it's just money on the table that I want to be responsible with that. And if Brad's pretty accurate that if you're going to sell it for, in the 800s versus 1.5, that's a very big difference. So it's not being very responsible if that's a possibility. So I like your idea.
Well, I mean, there is a possibility. I think what you have to do is you'd have to go hire an engineer and a surveyor and a lawyer and make the application. But I don't know how it would be treated by the zoning board. I've never seen I used to do this sort of stuff. I've never seen a municipality make an application to another municipality's zoning board to increase yield and get a variance.
Well, I think I like Brad's idea that if the buyer was to do that, then we would get a certain price. And if they're not and they're using it just as green space or single family or something, then that's different.
Well, if you want to do that, I think that you have to market it through a broker.
Yes.
I mean,
I think that's a good idea.
to put up an advertisement.
Yeah.
I mean, it would have to be 3 or 4 pages long.
I know, and
describe it.
we spoke to the town about how they do it too. And I think they do it different ways. So they kind of said, it's up to you how you want to do it. But I think with an agent would be a good idea, and we could work out how that would work. And,
Yeah, and the question is, it seems to me if you want to do something sort of legally complicated like that, I think you need to. I don't think you could market it other than through brokers.
Yeah.
Contingency could be attractive too. It could be like, oh, you only owe us village 300,000, 400. It doesn't have to be the whole boat. It could be something where they might be incentivized to make the application.
Right.
So we're sitting there thinking.
Yeah, for years.
I think I would prefer the purchaser making the application. I think it looks pretty silly for West Hampton Beach to come into Southampton and say we want to maximize our profit.
Right.
If I'm the health part of Southampton,
would be pushing the municipality to do affordability or something along those lines.
Well, I think that
Yeah.
you'd run the risk of the Southampton pushing us to say, why don't you keep it as open space? I mean, I think they don't want to develop it.
This is
But
true.
I think they'd have a slightly different attitude if Joe Builder came in there and said, I want to build
Right.
two or more, if it's going to be like a moderate income something or other. I don't know.
Yeah.
But I mean, you could do it, but I think that you got to start with speaking to the broker.
Why don't we come up with a plan of what, like, numbers and that strategy and what that would look like, and then I can think about
Broker.
a broker. We can come up with a few and decide, and then we can figure out who would be best at marketing something like that.
Okay.
That
Okay with
property
me.
is only it really is valuable to only like 2 people that surround it because they have access to it.
Yeah.
Because it'll connect to their property. If they want to, they could bring those 2 properties together and have the proper amount of square footage
And be able to
and properly subdivide it. Because but it's all filled with paper roads and they have to close paper roads but I looked at it closely. There is 2 lots that would directly be able to do this without an issue.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And those are the ones you get. But everyone else that goes cold, just starts from it, doesn't own
They would
anything
have a
there.
hard
They would
time.
have a really hard time to subdivide it.
Mm-hmm. It could take a while,
Yeah.
but they could.
You get the access. It's very close. It's close enough in square footage. I don't think it's a heavy lift.
Yeah, it's definitely a conversation, I think, because it's so close. But again, that's up to whoever would want it.
Okay.
No, you know what I think was hard? I think it was hard to know what we would take because there wasn't a minimum. And then I think also, sending it out to agents where they're probably not going to make any money on it. They're probably not going to send their people that way. And not that many people look in the paper. So I think that was like a mixture. But I think if we did hire an agent, like you said, I think that's a great idea. And the town does that sometimes too. And then that way we could just come up with a good plan and go from there.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I think, let's go towards.
Yeah, I'll look into how to hire, what our responsibilities are if we want to hire somebody to market property.
Yeah, I think we should do interview 3 or there's some kind of
Well, normally, even if you do professionals, lots of times you send out an RFP, except that in this particular circumstance, just not any broker would work. You
Yes,
want
it's
somebody
someone
who's like
specific.
plugged into the building industry.
yes.
And it's not like just because somebody comes in and says, "Oh, we'll do it for 3.5%,"
Yeah.
that you'd hire them. You want somebody who you have some confidence in.
Yeah. And there's different ways you can structure the fees too, so that
Right.
like the town had some ideas about that.
Well, yeah, you could make you
Yeah.
could say the price is the purchaser will pay the fee, but that's almost
It's
a
tricky.
distinction without a difference if you sell it. If the
Yeah.
broker gets a fee only on sale,
It-
whether
that's-
it comes from the
it's
seller
harder.
or the buyer, it's still being taken off the purchase price.
Mhm.
So that's not something that I consider a big problem.
Okay.
The problem is it's not easy property to sell. I
Well,
mean,
it's someone that has to understand what it is in the big picture and how to market that, and then like if they did subdivide and we did that, explain that to the
yeah, the
buyers.
other
so
thing
they
that we
know.
didn't look at that comes to mind because of what Chris just said is we should go look and see whether there's the variance would be realistically possible because it is in an old filed map area, and
Like to subdivide, you mean?
yeah.
I think it's the square footage wise is close, so
No, but there are further regulations when it comes to developing old file maps.
okay.
There's
Yeah,
a bunch
so-
of tiny little lots going through it all.
Oh.
That was drawn up in the 50s.
So is maybe like is
Or
there a
maybe
covenant
even
on it maybe
10s or
that they
20s.
can't subdivide?
Yeah, I think it actually is. I think it was in the third. It was went way back. You can see
This is a map that was drawn in the 30s.
Okay.
I can visualize the map because I looked at it.
Looks like a neighborhood, like all little tiny lots going
Yeah,
through.
like
Yeah.
Hampton Bays has some of those
And
too. Yeah.
our lots are on that old file map. Our lots are these 20 by 100 lots, like a whole
So
bunch
do
of them.
you, are there covenants that you can't, like,
No, that
just that they're old fields?
there would be no covenant in the subdivision that would prohibit it, but the town has an old file map overlay district
Oh, yes,
that
yes,
limits some development. I don't think it
Okay.
would I doubt it would interfere with our particular situation because we're not we're not doing a traditional old file map overlay application. But I think we have to look at that a little bit and see whether there's a realistic possibility in this situation to get it. I'll take a look at that and see if it impacts it. That's not that difficult.
Okay.
So in other words, Steve's gonna handle it all. I like
No,
it. Good.
Steve's not gonna handle
We're gonna look into it.
Steve's
We're
not gonna
looking
find
into
a
it.
broker.
I'll find it.
Steve's not gonna
Okay.
make the variance application.
Okay,
I
all
think we
right,
should
all right.
have 2 or 3 just to meet with and ask questions to, and then that way we can
Okay.
decide, and that seems fair.
I'll take a look at whether we think that there's a possibility. I'll pull the file.
Yeah. Because if
and
not, then maybe that's not a.
if it's not a
I
realistic
just
one,
feel
it's
like
not
it's
worth it.
it wouldn't be responsible if, you know, like Brad said, if we sell it for 800 and then they go and subdivide it and just sell it for 1.5 and we could have, you know, I don't know that that's responsible.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if it makes. I don't think that you would be questioned. You may feel that way. But
I probably would feel that way.
I don't think we have any
Could've done
legal
better.
obligation
Yeah.
to sell it for more than or something close to what we think its value is as is.
Okay. Well, that does make me feel better.
Yeah, but to take a piece of property like that and try to maximize its value in the abstract is pretty difficult.
Mhm.
And it's maybe possible the way Brad suggested, especially since builders are looking for
Yes.
land inventory.
Well, that's what
It
makes
may
me
be
think
a
of it.
possibility.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay.
Okay,
I'll work on that.
thank you. Next item on the agenda is the towing code, and I emailed
Yes.
the towing code to all of you with my red line version, and Mr. Angel has gone over that and produced
I just did
a
it.
version based on
I
that.
remember it.
So there's that for your perusal. I would like, we have a deadline that's, I think, easily met if we, in September, have a resolution putting this out for public hearing
Yes.
in the October meeting. And then we have the public hearing, and then we accept it, and then we will be in time for our, the extension is being exhausted January 1st. So we'll be in plenty of time and that'll work. So if you have any other comments on the towing code, let me know. And I'm satisfied, Mr. Angel's satisfied, and we've seen this before, so I think we should be good.
Yeah.
Okay?
Mhm.
Anybody else? Anything else?
Nope.
Nope. Okay. At this point, we have a few resolutions. Because this was noticed as a regular meeting, so we could pass these resolutions. So, Mr. Rizzo, would you do the honor?
Sure. Resolved that Gregory Manassian is hereby appointed to serve a 5-year term as a member of the Village Architectural Review Board to commence July 1st, 2026 through to June 30th, 2031.
Second,
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
resolve that Gregory Manassian is hereby appointed to serve as chairman of the Village Architectural Review Board for a term of 1 year to expire June 30th, 2027.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. I should mention that Mr. Menasian was, I think you're aware, involved in a automobile accident with his wife. He's recuperating, and his wife is out of ICU apparently, but still in the hospital. So he is not attending meetings currently, but hopefully we'll get back to the point where he can participate again. Okay.
Resolved that Gerard Peering is hereby appointed to serve a 5-year term as member of the Village Zoning Board of Appeals to commence July 1st, 2026 through June 30th, 2031.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Resolved that Gerard Peering is hereby appointed to serve as chairman of the Village Zoning Board of Appeals for a term of 1 year to expire June 30th, 2027.
Am I allowed to second that? Because I meant.
Yes.
Okay. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Resolved that David Riley is hereby appointed to serve a 5-year term as a member of the Village Planning Board to commence July 1st, 2026 through June 30th, 2031.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Resolved that Ralph Neubauer is hereby appointed to serve as chairman of the Village Planning Board for a term of 1 year to expire June 30th, 2027.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Resolved that the Board of Trustees approves the removal and replacement of the fuel tank on the 1994 Komatsu payloader at a cost not to exceed $6,582.08 to be paid out of GL account code A5110.402, equipment repair and service.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye. Resolved that the Board of Trustees accepts the proposal from Beatty and Watson to provide the necessary surveying and GIS mapping services, which satisfies requirements for a New York State DOS grant opportunity at a cost not to exceed $55,000 to be paid out of GL account code A.1440.4 engineering and surveys.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. I should mention, we have that grant is for 70,000. So it's in excess of what we, are anticipating. I think we have to pay, was it 15%? Something like that. There is a match, right. So, but it is a New York State, Department of State grant as well. So, in other words, we'll end up paying it and get the money later.
Hopefully.
Hopefully. That brings us to the public comments section. Any member of the public have anything to say?
Someone went out there.
He wants to go home.
The guy with the helmet.
Okay, I think he was-
He was done about an hour ago.
Okay, with that, I need a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor? Aye, meeting adjourned.